Hey YouTube, Awesome Writer here. Welcome to my review for Mighty Morphin issue 14. So I'm a little bit late on this one and I apologize, but this was one of the strongest issues in a long time. Probably one of my favorite issues of the overall run. Definitely my favorite issue so far. So I would give it a 4 out of 5. Anyways guys, until next time, I'm just kidding. But at least I got to do the graphic way early. So you get the score first. Strike that, reverse it. This episode was a lot about character stuff. We kind of took a step back from any of the action beats of the Eltarian War and handled character stuff, which I really like. We sort of open up like we usually do with these, where it seems like it's a Zordon flashback, where he's talking to like this Eltarian nurse, and she's like, "You have 5 hours to live. We're gonna die in 7 days." Get it? Because The Ring, or Scary Movie 3, which is what I think of more often. And then the girl turns into Billy. It's like one of those dreams where you're talking to a character, and then it turns into another character. And then the Blue Emissary shows up, and you find out that it's in Zordon's subconscious, and it confused me for a second, because I'm, wait. I thought the Blue Emissary was dead. Did I miss it in an issue and an in-between issue or something? But it gets explained later, as that's something that's one of the main things going on in the issue as everyone else is sort of dealing with things. Because Billy's trying to figure out a way to get to Zordon because he's within his subconscious. And Trini tells him, like, oh, you can communicate with the Blue Emissary if you punch his stone. It's science, just like I did with Yellow. And so he punches the stone, and he talks to the Blue Emissary. And the Blue Emissary effectively explains that, you know, like the Emissary sort of exists beyond the physical form. We shall become more powerful than you could possibly imagine. But Morphin Grid is a knockoff of the Force. We all know this. He does say that that his brothers and sisters or whatever, their forms were like destroyed, but his consciousness still echoes, so it makes it seem like it's temporary. But either way, him and Billy go speak to Zordon in his subconscious, and he's kind of shifting through all these different eras in his life. You know, like we get to see him really young when he's speaking to him, and it's really cool, because like there's a moment when he's talking to Zordon and kind of keeping up the facade of like, oh, I'm talking to young Zordon, and then his eyes shift, so he looks like current day Zordon. And it's just some really good character stuff for Zordon about his faith being shaken by the fact that he kind of defined himself by being so loyal to Eltar, and then now this has all been upended, and it's really great for his relationship with Billy, where Billy basically still says, I still look up to you, and you know, you can't accept this failure. Failure begins when you give up. And it was just, I've really been liking Zordon these last issues. It's just made him a little bit more complex, and I like the way they've handled this whole rift between him and Billy being the one to help him, and he's helping him back out, but he's like, well, even if I come back, what am I going to do to help? And he's like, well, there's something more I can do about that. Oh, that's going on. You have some other character moments. You know, you have the other Rangers recovering from the fight, Zach talking to Matt a little bit about, you know, becoming a Ranger, and talking to Tommy, and trying to ease Tommy's worries. It's like, Tommy, I think you're worried about Kim wanting to get back with Matt now that he's a Ranger, because they broke up before because he wasn't a Ranger, but she's still with you. And there was a funny scene too when Zach's like, oh, can you play me a song on the flute, Matt? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to play the song called Ode to the Fake Peace Conference. There's also some interesting interactions with the villains, as like each Ranger has to babysit one of Rita's crew, like Rocky's kind of trolling Goldar. Some nice little Rocky moments. Again, I still wish we could get more from Rocky out of Maisha. I say that every time, but I just, maybe next arc. And then Babu's talking to Squat and Finster about how, you know, we served Rita because in some way she all helped us in some way, but why did we serve Zed? And they're like, well, probably out of fear. And he's like, well, for now we're free of both of them, so we need to make a choice. What do we want to do here? We finally have freedom to make a choice. And they kind of form an enemy of my enemy is my friend alliance with the Rangers at the end, and that's interesting. Zed's definitely not dead. They wouldn't have done all this backstory with him to not bring him back, but I think that's really interesting. Other things going on, there's a really nice conversation between Jason and Kim discussing the situation where he's like, we need to stop thinking about Zordon dead, and you just need to listen to me. And she's like, you know, for saying we don't need to care about what Zordon thinks, you're sounding an awful lot like him. And I thought there's really great parallels being drawn between Jason and Zordon and even Tommy. And I just like how complicated the situation is, because you can sort of see it from everyone's point of view, and you can see where they're both right and wrong, and there's also some similarities going on between the two, which is likely why they butt heads. And I thought it was kind of a great mirror to Kim calling Zordon out a couple issues ago, and now she's calling Jason out. And you have Bulk and Skull interviewing Zardes, and he's like, look, if you go under the umbrella of Eltar, you know nothing but clear skies and full bellies. We end off with the Rangers and the villains at the meeting of like, we're going to work together now type thing. And like, well, we need more help. We need your help. And then Zordon's like, I have your help. And Zordon shows up in the suit Billy's been working on, which we knew of. It's literally the cover of the issue. So it gets spoiled at the beginning, the cover of the issue. But they talked about this before in the previews, but Zordon has like a combat suit to help the Rangers. And it was a really cool entrance scene. But yeah, strongest issue for me so far, because it wasn't, even though it wasn't about the action, it had some great character stuff for Zordon, for Billy, for Jason, even some nice little moments with Rocky, stuff like Bulk and Skull interviewing Zardes, stuff even with Babu. I thought it was a really nice scene for Babu, which I can hardly hear him saying something that meaningful in his talk with me voice, and it's weird. I guess that's probably why almost all the characters, when I'm reading the comic, don't have their show voices. I don't know if I'm the only one, because I always say people being like, let's do animated and bring back the cast. I'm like, no, I have different voices in my head. I feel like I hear like Nolan North in my head when I'm reading Jason's. Like I don't know. They're just different people to me. This was a really great issue. I tend to like the issues the most that focus on the character stuff because I think it's the good character stuff that drives the story for me in a meaningful way. Overall, good issue. Like I said at the beginning, it's a 4 out of 5. But what did you think of this one? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, like, comment, subscribe, comment, subscribe, ring that bell, so you can for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.